Incredible transformation. Billionaire S3 abandoned triplets reveals surprising secrets that move mountains. Ava, Max, and Lily stared at the charred remnants of their grandmother's diner. The familiar smell of pancakes and coffee was replaced by acrid smoke. The fire had nearly consumed the heart of their childhood, their sanctuary. "We have to salvage what we can," Max said, his voice taut with urgency. But as they rummaged through the smoke-damaged basement, the weight of a shared burden settled heavily on their shoulders, a desire for something more than this life. The diner had been their world for as long as they could remember, but it was crumbling like the ashes around them. The uniformity of flipping pancakes and pouring coffee for familiar faces felt suffocating now, drowning out their dreams of exploration and adventure. Upon pulling a battered trunk from under a pile of burnt debris, they hesitated, exchanging glances thick with uncertainty. Ava lifted the lid, revealing memories long buried. Old photographs flickered beneath the dust. In the heart of it all lay a weathered letter. As she read aloud, the revelation shattered their mundane reality. Their absentee father, hidden behind luxury and corporate power, was a billionaire. The words dripped like molten metal, dull but sharply painful: abandonment, shame, and the contrast of riches. Resonance of their grandmother's values wrestled violently with the swell of anger rising within them. How could he choose wealth over family? Could they, mere triplets working in a diner, step into this gilded world and claim what was rightfully theirs? The flickering tension in the room burst like the flames that had ravaged their diner. Should they embrace this newfound wealth, or uphold the integrity their grandmother had lived by? Guilt twisted within them as they questioned if they deserved more than the humble life they had built. In emotional freefall, Max felt his mind racing. Would they betray their grandmother's teachings for the allure of money? Each thought spiraled deeper into uncertainty, feeding the gnawing feeling in his gut. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The fire wasn't just a traumatic event, it was a catalyst. A bleak reality loomed. The diner was at risk of being lost forever, a physical reminder of their grandmother's hard work and dreams. The triplets, bound together by blood and hardship, now stood on the precipice of a decision. As they contemplated taking the first steps to confront their father, the elation of potential riches warred with the specter of betrayal. The tension crackled in the air, alive and volatile. Just when they thought they had reached a breaking point, they uncovered hidden documents linking their father to a history of deception. Assaulted by conflicting emotions, they felt a deeper betrayal whispering to them in the dark corners of their minds. Time seemed suspended, and the weight of what it truly meant to be a family loomed above them, fragile, complicated, and suffocating all at once. The echoes of their grandmother's values pressed down heavily. As internal conflicts simmered, a shocking final revelation emerged. The fire that nearly destroyed their diner had not been an accident. The truth below the surface ignited something in them: a ferocity, a yearning for justice, and a desperate need for clarity on what family really meant. With hope and anger intertwined, they stood at a crossroads, teetering on the edge of a cacophony of emotions, unsure of what to grasp next. Where would this journey lead them, away from the diner and closer to their estranged father? The stakes were climbing, and with each moment, they found themselves charged with the determination to reclaim their fate, whatever the cost. Ava, Max, and Lily left the smoldering remains of the diner behind, their hearts heavy yet resolute. The warmth of nostalgia and grief was steadily eclipsed by a burning desire for justice. They could not afford to linger in the ashes of their childhood. Each step taken away from the place that had defined them felt like a step deeper into uncharted territory, a realm where wealth and betrayal coexisted, ruled by a father they had never known. Max emerged as the first to voice the plan that had been forming in his mind. "We need to confront him. We deserve answers, and we can't let this go." His voice trembled with gravity. The others nodded, their brows knitting together, as they absorbed the harsh reality of the impending confrontation. They had spent too many years forgotten, buried beneath the weight of an unresolved past. As they plotted a course to the upscale neighborhood that housed their estranged father, apprehension wrapped around them. Ava's anxiety hummed like an electric wire. What if he doesn't care about us? What if he rejects us again? Her doubt resonated like a sharp pang in the pit of her stomach. Lily placed a comforting hand on her sister's shoulder. We have to go. We have to know the truth. Even if it's painful. The approaching confrontation loomed, and Max struggled to hide his ambivalence. Would they become pawns in a game of greed? Would seeking out their father mean forsaking their more humble roots? They had much to learn, but the promise of understanding was undeniable. Like moths drawn to a flame, hours later, they found themselves standing at the towering gates of their father's estate. A sprawling mansion loomed above, dripping with unnecessary luxury and prestige. It felt surreal, like stepping into a different realm. Max's resolve wavered. What if he doesn't even want to see us? Before they could turn back, a well-dressed man approached, and they were met with an enigmatic smile. The butler's demeanor felt rehearsed, but the moment he called their father's name, a thrill of recognition sparked within them. Mr. Harrington is expecting you. Expecting? Ava whispered, the term pooling anxiously in her chest. Did he know they would come? Max's mind spun. Were they merely part of a twisted family reunion, or was this the opening chapter of a new life? Once inside, they were escorted into a lavish living room adorned with exquisite art and fine furniture. A man, hardened by the years they had been apart, stood with his back to them. It was like staring into the dark shadow of a stranger who bore their blood. Father? Max's voice quivered like a young boy's calling for protection. The man turned, and for that fleeting moment, even in his stern expression, there was a flicker of recognition and acknowledgement of shared blood. Max? Ava? Lily? You finally came, he stated, void of emotion. That singular sentence held so much weight, impossibly heavy with years of abandonment and unanswered questions. Immediately, the fear they had anticipated transformed into raw determination. You think we came here to play your games? Max stepped closer, heartbreak and rage intermingling in his veins. It's time you told us everything, Lily added with newfound fierceness. Their positioned stances in front of their father felt both empowering and frightening, a mix of reclaiming their narrative while questioning the cost of their ambition. Yet, as their moment of confrontation built, clearer thoughts punctured the burgeoning tension. Would the answers they sought bring them closer to understanding, or rip apart the fabric of who they believed they were? As their father's gaze shifted, they braced themselves for revelations that could alter the very essence of their identities. The room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the truth to spill out, anchoring them in possibilities they dared not imagine. Would the past be a guide or a shackle? Behind the velvet curtains of truth, they sensed the storm would either leave them free or extract a price they weren't ready to pay. But before they could fathom the repercussions, the lights flickered, an ominous interruption. Conversations paused, and the air tightened, hinting that this is merely the calm before the storm. What truths lay buried in their father's life, and how would those truths impact their quest for identity? Ava felt a shiver run down her spine as she processed their father's chilling indifference. The room, opulent and overwhelming, suffocated her like a gilded cage. Her heart raced, each beat echoing the delicate balance of hope and dread. Max took a bold step forward. You walked away from us, and now, what? You expect us to come running? Their father's steely gaze flickered, betraying a hint of discomfort. It wasn't a choice. It was a necessity. You call abandoning your family a necessity? Ava's voice cracked, her veneer of courage barely holding. She had rehearsed this moment, yet the reality eclipsed her expectations. The chaotic mix of anger and pain braided tightly around her throat, making it hard to speak. Lily reached for her siblings' hands, grounding them in shared support. If you never wanted to see us again, then why did you agree to this meeting? For a moment, silence enveloped the room. The walls, adorned with fine art and memories unshed, witnessed the raw confrontation unfolding. Their father eyed them, his expression revealing a glimmer of something. Was it regret? Was it fear? You three were a liability, he finally said, his tone clipped and devoid of warmth. The business was already under attack, and I had to protect my interests. You needed to be kept away from that life. With each word, Ava felt a new layer of her persona emerging. The sense of being a victim, of being rendered powerless, now simmered beneath her skin. So, you chose power over us? Over your children? What kind of father does that? Enough! The command boomed from him, shaking the very air they breathed. But his power felt impotent against their resolve. You have no idea what it's like to be in my position. Max seized the opportunity, wielding his brotherly instinct like a weapon. Then help us understand. Make us aware of why you think we don't deserve the truth. Their father's gaze narrowed. There are things you can't unsee. My world is dangerous, convoluted. You're better off without knowing. In that instant, Ava understood that his shielding could not protect them as they had hoped. Rather, it was an admission of fear that echoed her internal struggles. What if their search for answers opened a Pandora's box? But we need to know, she pressed, conviction igniting within her. What kind of power comes at the cost of knowing your children? What have you done? The flickering lights dimmed, casting looming shadows. Papers shuffled in the background as their father hesitated, his defenses trembling. I had to make choices, and sometimes those choices come at a terrible price. As if the weight of his admission threatened to fracture the stately walls surrounding them, Ava felt the tide of destiny shifting. She could taste an awakening, a challenge unfurling before her. It wasn't simply about confronting their estranged father but carving out their identities within the relentless tides he had created. Before she could voice the storm of thoughts brewing in her mind, the lights surged back to full brightness, illuminating her father's ashen face. You're not ready. You don't know what you're asking for. Try us. Show us what we've been cut off from. Max urged, daring him to reject their courage. In their father's eyes, doubt flickered as he weighed their determination against the risks of unveiling his world. Ava took a resolute step closer, emboldened. This was not merely a reunion, this was a chance to reclaim their narrative. What if this is our chance to take control? Lily whispered, her voice thick with conviction. What if we can rise above your choices? It's our turn to face the darkness. Their father's expression hardened, yet the slightest crack formed in his facade. A moment stretched into eternity, and certain truths hung unspoken, teetering on the edge of revelation. Fine, he relented finally. But once you enter my world, there's no turning back. You need to prepare yourselves for everything that comes next. The implication of his words loomed like thunder rolling overhead. Ava, heart pounding, realized they were standing on the precipice of change. What veneer of protection their father thought he wielded was crumbling, revealing a path infused with both peril and potential. Just as the anticipation grew palpable, a sudden commotion stirred from the entrance of the mansion. The heavy door swung open, and the urgency of footsteps echoed through the hall. They turned in unison, a collective question hanging in the air. What fresh chaos awaited them? Ava's heart raced as frantic footsteps grew closer, echoing against the marble floors like a drumroll heralding uncertainty. She glanced at Max and Lily, their anxious eyes reflecting the same mixture of hope and dread that churned within her. What was this new chaos that threatened to shatter the fragile moment they had just fought to reclaim? From the shadows, a figure emerged, a striking woman, whose piercing gaze was as intimidating as it was captivating. Her tailored suit contrasted sharply with the opulence around them, an emblem of authority and control. Ava felt a tremor of recognition. This was no ordinary visitor. This was a player in the very world their father sought to shield them from. Mr. Kincaid, the woman addressed their father, her voice cool and commanding. We need to leave. Now. Is there a problem, Rebecca? Their father's voice was steady, but Ava sensed the tautness beneath the surface. Rebecca's expression remained impassive. I just received intelligence that compromises are being made. We cannot stay here any longer. The situation is escalating. Ava's mind raced as the implications of her presence settled in. Here was a woman who operated within the realms of power and secrecy, who could potentially illuminate the very darkness their father feared to unveil. "Who are you?" Ava demanded, surprising herself with the force behind her voice. On some level, she recognized that this wasn't merely about their father and his choices. This was about stepping directly into the abyss he had long censored them from. Rebecca turned her full attention to them, curiosity playing across her features. "I'm someone who knows the stakes. And if your father is taking you along for the ride, you need to understand how dangerous the game truly is." Max stepped closer, an instinctive protectiveness igniting. "We need to know everything. We're tired of being kept in the dark." "For once, I agree," Lily added, her voice steady. "What's the cost of being involved with him?" This wasn't an ordinary conversation, it was a critical confrontation fueling their desires for empowerment. They were tired of being pawns in their father's game, tired of feeling like mere observers of their destinies. Rebecca studied them, her sharp mind working. "If you really want to know, you need to be prepared. Knowledge is power, but it comes with its own burdens. Your father has kept you out of this world for a reason." "I'm starting to understand why," Ava said, her words resonating with a newfound purpose. It seemed absurd but liberating to finally confront the truth that had lurked in the shadows of her childhood. "But he can't hold us back anymore. We're ready to face it." Rebecca nodded, intrigued by Ava's fire. "Very well. If you truly want to understand, meet me tomorrow at the exchange. The stakes are high, and it might be your only chance at uncovering your family's legacy." The weight of those words hit like a chainsaw cutting through their protective shrouds. Legacy? What had been shrouded in secrecy now began to take form before them, a chance not only for clarity but for transformation. Yet, beneath the rush of adrenaline, Ava felt the creeping doubt of entering a space marked by danger and deception. Would this decision lead them toward empowerment, or expose them to threats they were ill-equipped to handle? Their father's expression darkened. "I advise against it. Advising us not to consider our options is no longer your decision," Ava replied, her voice steady despite the surge of fear creeping in. She looked at her siblings, their expressions etched with determination, and knew there was no turning back. The uncertainty of their future may loom, but she could deny them this opportunity no more. The clock was ticking, and the next chapter of their lives awaited. With their father's imperious demeanor suddenly feeling smaller in the wake of new possibilities, Ava took a deep breath. It was time to seize the power of knowledge whatever the cost. Standing upon the threshold of their choice, they prepared to immerse themselves in a world that promised revelation and peril. As the tension thickened, Rebecca turned to leave, her final words hanging in the air like a storm cloud. "Tomorrow will change everything. Be ready." With that, Ava knew they were on the verge of a profound awakening, a journey that would demand their strength in ways they had yet to comprehend. As the door closed behind Rebecca, one thought echoed in her mind: what truths awaited them in that dark abyss? Ava stood at the precipice of an unknown future, the chill of uncertainty creeping up her spine. The dim light faded as Rebecca left, leaving the siblings alone amidst their father's enigma. The marble floors echoed with a lingering tension and unspoken agreement solidifying between them as they prepared for a confrontation with the truth. Max and Lily flanked her, the collective resolve a shield against their father's looming authority. "We went through the pain of being kept in the dark. It's time to break that cycle," Ava said, her voice pushing through the thickness of dread that had gripped the air. She needed to be their anchor, her conviction fueled by the electric thrill of transformation. "What if we're not ready?" Lily pondered unexpectedly, her brows knitted with doubt. Ava turned, feeling warmth rise within her. "Maybe we won't be. But we can't walk away from our destiny just because it's frightening. It's ours to claim." The thought resonated like a melody, each note sharper than the last, feeding her burgeoning confidence. "This is about understanding who we really are. We were cut off from our own history," Max added, his voice tinged with desperation for clarity. "If we learn the truth, we can shape our own narrative." The three siblings exchanged glances, a silent pact forming in the space between them. They were ready to dissolve the veil that had shrouded their existence for too long. With a shared mission igniting their spirits, they each retreated into their thoughts. How could they prepare for the unknown that Rebecca promised? Would they emerge as empowered souls or shattered pieces of mirrored reflections? Confirmation of their father's fears. That night, sleep eluded Ava. Instead, she embraced the dark, crafting a mental list of questions for Rebecca. Who was she really? What secrets were buried in their family's past? And more importantly, what power lay dormant within them, unclaimed? Each question held potential not only for revelation but also for conflict that could alter their very perception of themselves. Amidst the mental chaos, she stumbled upon an unexpected realization. She craved knowledge not as a shield against their father's legacy, but as an avenue to discover her own identity. The image of their quiet existence slipped away, replaced by a roaring ambition. This unexpected urgency propelled her forward, even as trepidation coiled around her. In the early hours of dawn, Ava found herself unable to resist the urge to prepare. She gathered materials: an old notebook, a pen, and a sense of purpose from deep within. What was previously a quiet rebellion morphed into meticulous planning. She began to outline possible scenarios for the meeting: what they would ask, what they would reveal about themselves, and how to stand firm against their father's influence. As she filled the pages, her writing turned into an exploration of her own capabilities. Each note became a declaration, a promise. For the first time, she wasn't just floating through life dictated by external forces. She was the one penning her destiny. When she finally laid the notebook down, she looked out of the window, dawn light spilling across the sky like hope unfurling. It was a promise of transformation. Later that day, as they gathered at the exchange, her heartbeat thrummed with awareness. "This moment is ours," Ava whispered to her siblings, gathering their attention. They stepped forward together, a united front against the unknown. Rebecca awaited them, an enigmatic smile playing on her lips. "Welcome," she said, her voice smooth as silk yet laced with intrigue. "Are you ready to glimpse your truth?" Ava's heart pounded, a mix of hope and apprehension swelling in the pit of her stomach. This was at the moment their lives would swing toward discovery or doubt. She took a deep breath, the thrill of potential dancing in her veins. As secrets long buried began to uneasily shimmy to the surface, Ava realized they were not merely heading down a path of revelation. They were racing toward an awakening that would forever alter their identities. But just as she took the first step, a figure loomed behind them, a familiar shape cloaked in shadows. Ava's breath hitched, the feeling of being trapped tightening around her. What unexpected truths awaited beyond the threshold of an awakening? Ava's mind surged with questions as the figure stepped into the dim light of the exchange. The familiarity of the outline was both comforting and unsettling. Was it her father, returning unexpectedly to exert control? Or was it someone else entirely, an ally or an adversary? The uncertainty clawed at her resolve. "Who's there?" she demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. The words weren't merely a challenge. They were a lifeline, anchoring her in the tumult of her thoughts. Max and Lily instinctively repositioned themselves, closing ranks beside Ava. Their unity pulsed in the air, fortified by the shared purpose that had brought them here. The looming shadows shifted, revealing a woman with chestnut hair, eyes brimming with annoying light. It was Helen, the housekeeper who had quietly lingered in the background of their lives, a figure they had almost overlooked. "Ava," Helen spoke, her voice a gentle murmur that sliced through the tension. "I came to find you." The sincerity in her tone was disarming, yet the weight of her presence hinted at deeper connections to their family's history. "Find us?" Ava echoed, confused but intrigued. Helen stepped forward, crossing the threshold into the circle of light. "There is so much you need to know about your mother, and about how you all fit into this puzzle." Ava's heart raced. The prospect of a deeper understanding of her origins crackled with both fear and exhilaration. "You know where she is?" "No, but I know what she cared about most," Helen said, her gaze wandering as if searching for the right words. "She left clues, hints hidden within the very fabric of this house, and I've been waiting for the right moment to share them with you." The atmosphere shifted, the echo of uncertainty replaced by a burgeoning hope. Ava clenched her fists, the significance of Helen's revelations igniting an urgency within her. "You've known us for years, why wait?" Helen's expression hardened slightly. "Because it was never meant to be shared until you were ready. I feared that the truth would either empower you or shatter your unity." Ava's mind whirled. The idea that their family was more intricate than they had imagined felt like both a blessing and a curse. Was this knowledge a tool for personal reclamation or a weapon that could tear them apart? Max stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "What do you mean by ready?" "Ready for what?" "To confront the truth about your mother and the legacy that remains," Helen replied. "Before you delve into this, you must understand, knowledge can be a double-edged sword. It may expose hidden strengths, but it can also highlight vulnerabilities you weren't aware of." Lily, usually the most hesitant, felt a stirring in her gut. "But we can't let fear dictate our journey any longer. We have to take this step. What if we're not the same when this is done?" Ava whispered, the possibility of profound change daunting yet tantalizing. "That's the essence of growth," Helen countered softly, meeting Ava's gaze. "What has kept you trapped isn't the truth itself, but the fears surrounding it. Embrace this journey, and you may find the power lies not in the answers, but in the willingness to ask questions." Ava's heart thudded in her chest, her ambition rubbing against an underlying fear. Could this exploration lead them toward liberation or further entrapment? As she turned to her siblings, the flicker of determination ignited within her again. "Let us uncover these secrets," Ava declared, her voice treading a path of resolution. As they huddled together, determination brimming in the air, Helen guided them towards the hidden compartments she had known for years, the secret spaces that had held fragments of their past. What they found there could shatter their reality or piece together their identities. "Prepare yourselves," Helen added, unfurling a hidden drawer in the wall. "What lies within may challenge everything you thought you knew." Ava drew a breath, each inhale a testament to her commitment to evolve. Behind them, however, the door creaked open to a flickering shadow, a reminder that they weren't alone, and perhaps their father's presence lingered closer than they realized. What awaited them could reshape their destined paths forever. This was just the beginning. They were poised on the precipice of transformation, but would they soar or crumble? The tautness of uncertainty hung in the air, a potent reminder that every discovery comes with a cost. Ava's breath hitched as Helen pulled the drawer open, revealing stacks of old letters, a weathered journal, and several small trinkets, each bearing the weight of untold stories. The flickering light cast shadows on their faces, amplifying the tension that gripped the small group. The air felt charged, as if the very walls of the exchange were patiently waiting for their reaction. "This is your mother's legacy," Helen said, her voice steady but tinged with an urgency that underscored the importance of their discovery. "Each piece here tells part of her story, intertwined with yours." Ava hesitated, immersing her mind in the gravity of this moment. What pieces lay buried in the past? Lily, ever resourceful, reached for a small brass key, its surface worn, indicating years of hidden potential. "What do you think this unlocks?" she whispered, turning it over in her palm. Ava shrugged, but her pulse quickened with anticipation. Each small object could unlock an entire chapter of their identities, who they were, and perhaps more importantly, who they could become. "Only one way to find out," Max said, stepping closer to the letters. Various envelopes bore different stamps and handwriting, often elegantly penned, others jagged and hurried. As he started sorting through them, Ava felt a wave of fear wash over her. Would the revelations reshuffle their lives or deepen the fractures that already marred their family? "What are you afraid of, Ava?" Helen's soft voice cut through her turmoil. The question hung in the air, forcing Ava to confront her anxiety head-on. "Perhaps the truths we uncover will distance us from each other rather than bring us together," Ava admitted, her voice wavering. She had struggled with feelings of inadequacy, the specter of their father's expectations looming large over every decision she made. Max, overhearing her worries, placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We're in this together. Whatever we find can't change the bond we share. It's strengthened by our determination to face this as one." Helen nodded in agreement, her gaze sweeping over them like a protective embrace. True bonds are not easily shattered by the past. They evolve. The challenge lies in how you choose to respond. The layers of meaning flooded into Ava's mind, igniting a sense of purpose. She was tired of being a passenger in her own life, letting the momentum push her with little resistance. Growth meant navigating through discomfort, confronting fears, and embracing uncertainty. Let us start with the letters, Ava declared, a newfound conviction encapsulating her words. As if drawn by some unseen force, she reached for the closest envelope. Max quickly joined her, eager to share the burden of unknown outcomes. What does it say? As she carefully opened the envelope, her heart raced, the pulse echoing in her ears. Each word she read resonated within her, vibrating with the potential to rewrite her narrative. Names, places, unfinished dreams. Ava's sense of identity began to intertwine with the fragments of the past, and insights flooded through her about the woman who once inhabited this house. Your mother had courage, Helen affirmed, her voice reverberating with approval. She fought battles you are yet to understand. There lies your power, Ava. Within the courage to confront what you fear. Ava felt that familiar burn of fear at the base of her stomach, but this time it was accompanied by determination. Each letter was a thread in the tapestry of her life, and she was beginning to see her place in it, interconnected and profound. A silence enveloped them as they unraveled one letter after another, uncovering secrets, revealing vulnerabilities. Ava's apprehension veered toward exhilaration as she found herself reconsidering her expectations of identity and growth. This journey wasn't merely about unveiling the past, but redefining her future, a powerful notion she'd never pondered until now. Yet, as they pieced together fragments of their familial legacy, a sudden crack echoed through the house. More than a creak, it felt like a warning. Did you hear that? Lily's brows knitted, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. Ava's heart sank as she sensed a new danger encroaching, a reminder that they weren't the only players in this unfolding drama. Maybe it's just the house settling? Max suggested, though his voice lacked conviction. Ava's resolve hardened. We have to find out what that was. We're not leaving this space until we complete our search. Her voice stood clear against the rising tide of uncertainty, reaffirming her commitment to both uncover and confront. Something awaited them not just within the confines of the letters, but from the realm of potential threats. As they steadied themselves, focused on their purpose, Ava felt the tremors of change ripple through her, aware that her evolution had just begun. What lay beyond that unexpected sound could challenge everything they believed in. But Ava was ready to confront the shadows lurking within and outside those walls. What awaited them could either deepen their unity, or unveil even darker truths. The moment had arrived for confrontation, and the stakes were higher than ever. Ava's breath caught as her determination emboldened her. The musty scent of old paper mingled with a palpable intensity in the air, each moment stretching out as if time itself was reluctant to move forward without acknowledging the weight of their findings. The crack that echoed earlier reverberated in her mind, but she pushed aside the impulse to fear. Discovering more about her mother's past felt like a battle worth facing. Should we explore the house? It might be just an animal, Lily suggested, her voice breaking through Ava's focus. An aerial view emerged in Ava's mind, picturing dusty corners, forgotten rooms, each potentially housing more family history or hidden threats. Yes, but we have to stay vigilant, Ava replied, her voice steady despite the quivering thrill in her chest. First, let us see what else these letters can tell us. Determination shifted every ounce of her focus back to the task at hand. Max rummaged through another stack, and as he unfolded a letter, his expression morphed from mild curiosity to profound disbelief. Ava, you need to read this. She leaned closer, instincts on fire. The ink was faint but legible, revealing a story laced with hope and despair, an account of choices made that forever altered the lives of those involved. I can't believe she wrote this, Ava whispered, heart racing, thinking of the struggles that must have prompted her mother to share such intimate thoughts with a world that often felt unforgiving. Each word doubled back against her own uncertainties about her career and future. The courage her mother summoned, now a call to action for Ava. As she absorbed the contents of the letter, pressure built within her to integrate her mother's choices into her own timeline. This is about a decision to leave and start over. She faced obstacles, but she also found what she loved despite the cost. Realizing her mother had carved out her own path, Ava felt a spark ignite within. Maybe, just maybe, the questions about her identity she had nurtured for years were foundations, not limitations. The self-doubt that had clung closely could be reworked into a more powerful tapestry of character and conviction. Not unlike us, huh? Max chuckled, but his tone held a seriousness that mirrored the gravity of their discovery. Yeah, Ava murmured, meeting his gaze. Maybe she knew sacrifices were necessary for growth. Lily shifted closer, her brow furrowed. But what if these sacrifices led to unresolved issues? What if her past haunts us now? Then we confront it, Ava instructed, each word echoing with newfound determination. We can't fear the truth or the burdens it may carry. Just then, another unsettling sound splintered the air, a low creak, this time followed by a gentle rustle from the hallway beyond. Ava's heart raced, adrenaline surged through her. They could still discern hope from this legacy, but something tangible now threatened their own legacy as they pushed against the darkened past. What if it's someone else? Lily's voice quivered, her concern rippling through the group, but Ava felt differently. This was their moment of truth. We can't let fear dictate our steps. Let us explore, Ava proposed, clenching her fists. With every step we take, we reclaim what's lost and reinforce our connections. It was a call to confront uncertainties not only about the presence lurking nearby but also about the life ahead of her. Glancing back at the letters, then toward the hallway, Ava realized this exploration represented her evolution. Each moment of discomfort, every shroud of fear, could either chain her down or prompt the metamorphosis she sought. Fueled by courage and the discovery of her mother's spirit, she marched toward the hallway, determined to confront whatever awaited them. Yet deep down, Ava also sensed that this confrontation held another possibility, not just the shadows of the past but secrets ready to intertwine with their future. Each step echoed against the wooden framework of the house, a rhythmic reminder of her decisive path forward. The sound transformed, reverberating through her as a proclamation. What awaited them would not only test their bonds but also reveal each layer of their identities intertwined with family legacies, both fractious and healing. Ava hesitated at the threshold. What lay beyond the mysterious force could unravel their collective understanding of family, loyalty, and personal ambition. The moment to uncover deeper truths was upon them, and with it, a chance for transformation that could shift the very fabric of their combined narrative. What awaited them beyond that doorway could irrevocably reshape their lives. Ava felt the anticipation tighten in her chest, ready to confront this new chapter. Ava inhaled deeply, steeling herself against the constellation of fears and excitement that coalesced within her as she crossed the threshold into the hallway. The dim light cast eerie shadows on the walls, bending and stretching as if alive, eager to disclose their secrets. Each creak of the wooden floor beneath her feet reverberated within her, echoing her internal awakening. Fear had never been a stranger to Ava, but in this moment she felt empowered, a fire ignited by the pursuit of truth. This truth was complex, intertwined with familial legacies she yearned to understand and redefine. As she pressed forward, she pondered the meaning of her mother's sacrifice, realizing it presented a choice: to either tread carefully in the waters of the past or to dive headfirst, propelling herself toward her own future. Stay close, she instructed Max and Lily, her tone firm, yet her heart raced not from a need for apprehension, but a burgeoning anticipation. She navigated through the hallway, an explorer retracing the steps of her family's history, feeling the walls breathe a story both tragic and triumphant. "Look at this," Max exclaimed, pointing toward a door partially ajar at the end of the corridor. Ava's heart leaped at the sight. It was another threshold, another possibility. As they approached, a flicker of hope morphed into a nerve-wracking tension. Did secrets lay within waiting to be unearthed, or was it simply a mirage crafted by their collective imagination? Pushing the door open, they stepped into a musty room bursting with relics from the past, furniture draped in sheets that had long forgotten the touch of human hands. Memories lingered like the dust motes dancing in the light that struggled to penetrate the gloom. Ava felt a visceral connection. This room was a home to myriad stories, but to her, it felt like an extension of her own narrative, fragmented yet significant. Lily stumbled upon an old trunk, the wood worn and splintered. "What do you think is inside?" Her voice tremored with equal parts excitement and trepidation. "Only one way to find out," Ava replied. The act of opening the trunk felt monumental. It was both an intrusion into her family's past and a reclamation of her own identity. As the lid creaked open, a whirlwind of emotions whirled through her: anticipation, fear, and an insatiable curiosity. Inside, nestled among yellowed papers and forgotten clothes, were remnants of life moments that once mattered: photographs capturing laughter, letters depicting hopes and dreams, and even fragments of broken promises. Each item spoke to her. They were pieces of a puzzle she was desperate to solve. As she sifted through the contents, a silver locket fell into her palm. It sparkled in the dim light, almost calling out to her. Ava opened it, revealing a faded photograph of her mother with a man she had never seen before. Confusion intertwined with recognition, the thread of her lineage tightened further, hinting at unexplored narratives, ones that could upend her perception of family, reclaiming memories that had been dulled by time. "Who is he?" Lily questioned, her eyes wide with intrigue and concern. "I don't know," Ava whispered, but the determination in her voice grew, resonating with a hidden strength. She felt propelled toward uncovering these narratives, especially with each photograph that revealed layers of family dynamics she had yet to comprehend. What if he asked someone she loved? Max's comment hung in the air, infusing it with unwelcome complexity. Or a mistake that cost her everything, Ava countered, her thoughts now racing. Did love count only if it was without consequence? What sacrifices had been made to shield her from antiquated definitions of family? The air thickened, each revelation a thread tightening around her heart. Ava's uncertainty shifted from fear to resolve. She understood that her path forward was not merely about decoding a legacy. It was about constructing her identity anew, redefining the values inherited and challenging the narratives that had restrained her. Yet buried within these artifacts might lie deeper truths, ones that could shake the very foundations of who she thought she was. Confronting these revelations would demand courage. She felt an emotional shift within as the weight of responsibility settled across her shoulders. As she stood by the trunk, the shadows deepened, questions bubbling to the surface. Who was she becoming, and what fragments of the past would guide her? Each discovery was a key, and Ava was determined to unlock every door, learning to reinterpret the legacy she had been gifted. The next moment, the floorboards creaked from somewhere outside the room, snapping her from her reverie. Was it Lily or Max moving, or had their earlier concern been correct? Were they truly alone? "Did you hear that?" Lily's eyes darted to the door. The adventure that had begun with a simple search for letters was shaping into something far more intricate. Ava's heart raced again, not with fear of the unknown, but with an adrenaline-fueled excitement. The exploration of her family's past had only just begun, and soon enough, she would be forced to confront who she was becoming in the process, and if she was ready for what that meant. The next revelation could transform everything she believed. Ava, Max, and Lily stood in the forgotten room, surrounded by relics of their mother's past, steeped in the fragrance of dust and untold stories. The silver locket felt heavy in Ava's palm, a tangible link to a past she was now unearthing. It was remarkable to think how far they had come since the fire that destroyed their childhood diner, a defining moment that had ignited their quest for truth. "Let's take a closer look," Max urged, his curiosity urging him forward as he sifted through the trunk's contents. With every photograph and letter brought to light, Eva felt layers of fear giving way to the thrill of discovery and purpose. "Look at this," he said as he fished out an old envelope, its edges worn. "It's a letter addressed to us." Ava's heart raced. The thought that their mother had written to them before her departure ignited a deep yearning for connection. They united in a collective moment of anticipation, realizing the revelations might bind them closer than any tale of loss or abandonment had wrenched them apart. As she held the letter, she could sense their mother's spirit, the undying hope woven through the pages. The words unfurled before them like new pathways, illuminating the sacrifices and trials that shaped their family dynamic. "She loved us," Ava whispered in awe. Every line resonated with the pain of separation, but also the belief that they would rise, that they would become more. In that moment, Ava realized this was not merely an exploration of their past but an awakening to who they could become. All doubts began to fade, questions of their worthiness, of deserving more than what the diner had offered. They were on the verge of proving their competency to navigate the complexities of their lineage, not defined by their father's wealth but by their tenacity and resolve. Suddenly, another creak from the hallway jolted them back to reality. "We need to face what's out there, together," Ava declared, the edge of defiance in her voice matching the rapt desires of destiny. The stakes were no longer abstract. Their fragmented past was merging into a future that could be constructed on the foundation of understanding and clarity. One by one, they silently agreed this was their moment to confront the truths that had overshadowed their lives for far too long. Together they stepped into the hallway, buoyed by the historic knowledge that now lingered in their minds. There was power in the bond they shared, which was fueled by their struggles. Helen's words echoed, "Knowledge comes with its burdens, but it also brings strength." They cautiously moved toward the source of the sound, hearts beating in synchrony. As they stepped out of the threshold into the outer corridor, the shadows embraced them, morphing into an empowering force, a signal that they were not merely recipients of their past but protagonists reclaiming their narrative. Max glanced back, determination etched on his face. "No more concealing or running from truths. We'll face whatever challenges appear." Through the vast expanse of the mansion, they followed the echoes until they emerged into a wide room. There, amidst the opulence, stood their father with a tumultuous expression, a mix of frustration and intrigue, as if he expected them to tread beyond the bounds he imposed. "Why are you here?" he demanded, arcane authority seeping through his voice. Ava felt an electric charge surge within her. Here was the confrontation they had been preparing for, the moment to prove their resolve and redefine their identities. "We're here to reclaim our story," she stated firmly, surprising herself with the weight of her conviction. "We've uncovered our mother's legacy, and we demand answers." His brow twitched as he took their formidable stance in. "You thought you were prepared, but some truths can't be undone." Ava steadied her breath. "We're ready for whatever comes. Understanding the full legacy means confronting the choices that shaped our lives." His silence yielded an unexpected recognition, a flicker of deep-seated understanding flashed in his eyes. Without further words, something shifted in the atmosphere. It was as if tensions between them ripped open the wound of abandonment, forcing him to reckon with the consequences of his choices, with steadfast children before him refusing to be resigned again. In that pivotal moment, they stood united, and he could no longer diminish their narratives. Each and every hurdle, every feeling of inadequacy was no longer a barrier to the family bond, but an invitation to fortify it. As he opened his mouth to reply, Ava felt an unprecedented sense of confidence wash over her, an affirmation that this confrontation was not just about their father's admission but about their own emergence into adulthood, marked by willingness to confront their past and redefine their future. Through every moment they reclaimed, transforming their shadows into strength, Ava grasped the ultimate truths. She mattered. Her history held weight. Her future lay vividly before her. As the tension softened within her father's demeanor, she sensed they were on the verge of a remarkable transformation. The journey since that dire day in the diner was just one of discovery, but one of self-actualization, propelling them into a future they could shape. As the walls around them seemed to breathe new life, Ava smiled at Max and Lily. She no longer saw their challenges as burdens, but as stepping stones toward fulfilling the promise of their new beginning. This was their moment to shine, their chapter to begin anew. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories that will move mountains just like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. You, brave souls, have the power to lift these important narratives to new heights. Comment below with your reactions and theories about this transformative ending. Your thoughts matter, so don't hold back, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to usher them into this incredible journey of unlocking their own legacies.